Hello, hello, I'm Kats, and welcome to today's video. So we are coming to the end of the Lysanther Beast Bane fusion, and I guess the end of the Path of Spring. So we do have to pull some shards to wrap things up here. So as we talked about in my free-to-play review for the Path of Spring, you can check that out if you haven't already in the card up above. But we did some amount of Dungeon Divers, at least of the allotment for the Ice Golem tournament that has already ended as of yesterday. And thus the remainder of what we need to do for the purposes of getting 50 of the fragments, that is all that I need in my case, is going to be from pulling some shards. Now we are taking advantage in my case of the fact that ancient shards are boosted to 50% in terms of the amount of points. And so effectively all I have to do in this instance is pull around 70 ancients or so. So that's what we're going to be pulling today. And that should get me all of the points that I need to get the 50 fragments from this path. And for anyone wondering why I'm opting that way, despite it being 2x sacreds, of course, is because we are trying to preserve our Sacred Mercy here. We're only 2 in, so it's not super deep, but nonetheless, being in Sacred Mercy is always where I like to be relative to a Sacred Pogo. There has not been one announced yet, but I'm anticipating within the next month or so, or at least before the next time I have to pull Sacreds for the next fusion, hoping there should be a Sacred Pogo where I can take advantage of being in Mercy. By contrast, I am much more willing to part with my Ancient Shards. Of course, they're the most abundant shard type in the game, on top of me being fresh off of hitting a Legendary, so the odds are low that we hit a Legendary at all. It's a 1 in 200 chance, so the odds are low, but nonetheless, getting closer to Mercy is not a bad thing either for Ancient Shards, but we're setting our expectations super low for this particular session. Again, the primary purpose for pulling, because there's always a purpose, is to complete the fusion, and if I have an opportunity to not have to use my Sacreds, then I'm going to take it. There will always be another 2x Sacred, so I'm not really worried about that. Popping over to the portal itself, we can take a look at the overall shard count on my account, which is 732 on the Ancients, 194 on the Voids, 45 on the Primals, and then 58 on the Sacred. So we are saving Sacreds this time around, but we are going to be burning 70 Ancients. And as you can see here, I deselected Admiral Black Tusk. I mean, he's kind of cool, I guess, but I don't envision myself running an entire dwarf team to really make use of a lot of what he can do. He's a cool champion on his own, but there are some other ones I'd rather have. And in general, I kind of ignore faction unity champions, at least in terms of acquisition, just because the odds are super low. So I'm not getting my hopes up or anything like that. In terms of the wish list, just my top 3 legendary, non-void legendaries would be Poison Exploder, Xavi, Elenaril, Molly Tankard, and then Elva Autumnborn. So I doubt we're going to get a legendary today. The odds are slim, but if we do happen to get one, I'd rather have one of those 3. Now, because there's also no 2x on Ancients, I do anticipate that we are going to get a substantial amount of rares, which I guess is good for me, good for chickens, good for champion training in the future. But I also anticipate we're going to get a handful of epics along the way, so any duplicate epics for empowerment will be useful. So without further ado, let's get into the pulls. We've got just enough space, we've got a decent amount of cash, and honestly, we don't really need that much luck in this particular session either. Kind of like the last Summon Rush, we're just kind of doing this for the sake of the fusion. So if we get cool stuff along the way, awesome. If we don't, that's fine, because we're guaranteeing ourselves the champion, which is the main goal. So in this case, we don't really have to keep track of points. It's fixed because it is a Summon Rush, but nonetheless, epics here: Pestilus, underwhelming; Trembor, underwhelming; Vrask, pretty decent, good healer. I run him in a double retaliation set. I know a lot of people like him in Relentless, but I find that him counterattacking is just a lot more effective in terms of PvE. And all blues, that is exactly what I expect to see. In fact, getting 3 epics from the first 10 pop there was extremely unlikely. But continuing on here, 10 pop number 3, another set of all blues. Yep, totally fair. Once again, 2x is not on, so this is going to be the norm. On average, we should be getting about maybe 1 epic every 2 10 pops or so. That would be like normal rates for this. So Negorio, pretty decent nuker, faction wars type champion, Curse City type DPS. That was 4 10 pops. This is number 5, so we have 2 more to go after this one. Woad painted, decent healer, more useful in the Curse City, maybe Faction Wars. AX, I remember, I think he had a little bit of claim to fame paired with Geomancer against the Iron Twins for like some sort of speed block damage type compositions. But I also do run him in the Curse City for like Scarab King stages because of his poison on the A1 and the passive where he can extend said poisons with his passive. Ooh, we did actually get a legendary. Okay, well, the odds of that are very, very slim, but 1 in 200. It is a Foley. That is another duplicate in my case. I think he's actually a triple, so that's not even going to be useful for Faction Guardians. But nonetheless, hey, we did get a legendary. The odds were super, super slim. That's just the raw 1 in 200 odds there, so we'll take that. His claim to fame is, of course, just the AoE block revive on this ability that hits decently hard. Probably not as hard as you want it to, but in the right situation, that's kind of all you need, because if you kill the nukers, then you've won the fight in a lot of cases. And I've definitely lost, even in like live arena, against some like fully empowered +4 Folies before, just because people have them, and block revive is block revive at the end of the day. So the last 10 pop here, and let's see what we can get. Probably deserve an all blues after getting a... No, we got another legendary. Hey, it's Ragash. Okay, he's not on the primary wish list, but he is on like the secondary wish list. So this is actually extremely useful for me for the Cursed City. One of the stages that I was struggling with is just, he's basically the only champion that you could use because he's like defense spirit based. I believe that's the restriction. But AoE decrease defense, so you deal more damage to enemy waves, and more importantly, the AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown. You can also protect your team a little bit with strengthen, increase their speed with the buff, and then place perfect veil on himself, and then he can provide increased defense on himself on the A1. But yeah, we'll take that. Okay, 2 legendaries from 70 ancients is kind of crazy during a non-2x. I haven't had like a double legendary during a 2x ancients in a while, but getting it during a non-2x is absolutely crazy, but we'll take it. So yeah, we can confirm here, but I do think that Foley is a triple. Yes, Foley is a triple here, so that is not that useful, but maybe we get a 4th Foley down the road and we can fill out the Faction Guardians. But more importantly, Ragash is new. He is new on my account. I kind of like soft regretted in super hindsight, like a year later hindsight, not going for his guaranteed. But this, you know, he predated the existence of the Cursed City, so I didn't know that I would eventually need him. But definitely could be useful in Faction Wars, you know, decrease defense hard mode or normal mode. AoE decrease defense is good, and it's before attacking, so he's affinity friendly, which is also good to note. But just AoE stun is going to be super useful, so he definitely will be built next for sure. Maybe not next. I think there's a couple of people that we need to build for this rotation of the Cursed City, but for future rotations of the Cursed City, now I have Ragash unlocked, which is absolutely fantastic. So now I believe we've done everything we need to do. So let's go through the path here. Let's get the coins. The chaos ore, brews are kind of pointless. Let's grab the dust. I do like the dust. Grab key number 1. Let's not mess this up. Let's come down here, open this path, grab first set of fragments. We grab the second key, and we grab this speed glyph. We open this path, and then we claim 50. So with that, I believe the fusion is effectively, if we get the pop-ups to go away, the fusion is effectively complete. So this is the last of the 4 void epics. And if anyone was curious for my particular strategy when it comes to this, I've actually not leveled up any of them just because I'm anticipating, and this is usually what happens, but we can come to the champion index here. We can see all 4 of them here. But typically what happens is that right before the end of the fusion, and I guess we could look at the timer for a better context, but we have like 3 days left, and so I'm anticipating that, you know, when there's 1 day left or 2 days left, I guess we'd know if there was 2 days left, but when there's 1 day left or the last day, there should be what I anticipate to be a champion training event, and so I'm going to level up all 4 of the epics during that, just so I can get some points, and maybe that will also coincide with CVC, which could be useful, so just put a bunch of champion training during CVC to fuse them up, and eventually fuse them during CVC for 30,000 points as well on top. But on the flip side, if all else fails and there is no champion training event in the next 3.5 days, then I will just go to the tavern and use a bunch of brews, because I don't see a purpose to use energy to grind it in campaign if I'm not getting credit in some sort of champion training event or tournament. So I would just brew it up in the alternative case where there isn't a champion training event. But yeah, that is my plan for the fusion, and that is also going to do it for today's video. And yeah, we cannot complain at all whatsoever. Apparently there is a secret 2x that was only on for me, so yes, the rumors are true. Content creator luck is not a myth. And yes, the 2x was turned on exclusively just for me because we got 2 legendaries out of our ancient pulls, 70 ancients, during this particular session. So let me know in the comment section down below, did you also have to pull some shards for the purposes of completing the fusion? I know there were some people who commented that they needed to go for 50 and or 75 fragments. So what did you, or what types of shards did you end up pulling? And what did you get from said summons? Hopefully something good. As always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help out the channel. And also feel free to hit that subscribe button down below as well if you're enjoying the content overall on the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching and have a good one.